Hi guys, welcome back to FK Channel. Konten kali ini akan sedikit berbeda dengan konten-kontenku yang lain. Biasanya kontenku itu super fun and a little bit crazy. Tapi kali ini sekali-sekali lah ya kita buat sesuatu yang agak serius tapi ada funnya juga. Nah, kebetulan nih aku dapat undangan dari sebuah acara yang dilaksanakan oleh sebuah organisasi non-profit yang bergerak di bidang layanan dan juga counseling terhadap pasien kanker. Nama organisasi ini adalah Ken Hope. Dan aku juga baru tahu kalau Ken Hope ini ada di Medan. Saya yakin banyak juga di antara kalian yang nggak tahu kan kalau Ken Hope ada di Medan. Anyways, mereka menyelenggarakan acara yang namanya Love Life, Fight Cancer in the Right Way. Melawan kanker dengan cara yang benar. Nah, kebetulan banget nih acaranya dilaksanakan di Ritz-Carlton Pacific Place, Jakarta. Which means agak jauh juga ya, tapi ya nggak apa-apa. Karena kebetulan 2 hari lalu nih, aku itu baru aja ngobrol dengan teman-teman gym yang lain. Konon katanya, temannya temen nih, leading healthy lifestyle, makan yang healthy, ya sehat, olahraga teratur, nggak merokok, terus juga dia sangat menghindari minuman. Rupanya dia didiagnosa kanker paru-paru stadium 4. Wuss! Langsung wake up call banget buat kita semuanya, termasuk saya dong. Dan aku itu kan juga, everybody knows, aku itu leading healthy lifestyle, berusaha makan yang sehat, olahraga teratur, tidak merokok, dan juga tidak minum-minum. Which means, ini berpotensi juga terkena kanker. Nah, ini yang membuat aku itu agak-agak penasaran. Why? Itu pertanyaan besar sekali. Aku juga riset, Ken Hope ini sebenarnya apa sih? Nah, selain mereka itu adalah organisasi yang melayani dukungan dan juga counseling terhadap penderita kanker. Kebetulan ini juga diprakarsai oleh Parkway Cancer Center. Siapapun kalau kamu riset, boleh Google deh. Parkway ini juga udah memiliki reputasi yang bagus banget di Singapura. Dan yang pastinya mereka ini juga memiliki pendekatan yang lumayan unik, yaitu pendekatan holistik. Nah, holistik ini udah bukan bicara soal treatment dan juga obat-obat aja ya, tapi juga ada diet, nutrition, dan lain-lain. Dan mereka itu bekerja sama dengan tim medis dan ahli-ahli kesehatan profesional yang tentunya akan menawarkan sumber daya dan informasi luas mengenai kanker. So, ini bukan hanya bagus untuk pasien, tapi juga untuk keluarga supaya bisa mengambil keputusan tepat untuk treat kanker dan juga menuju kesembuhan. So, aku decide, aku memutuskan, aku vlog aja deh perjalanan aku ke Jakarta, right? Jadi bukan hanya aku aja yang bisa dapat informasi, kalian juga bisa dapat informasi mengenai kanker-kanker tersebut. What are we waiting for? Follow me right now. Let's go to Jakarta! Salah gate guys, rupanya gate 9. Yuk, masuk. Guys, menjalani perjalanan ini benar-benar membuat aku merenung sedikit sih sebenarnya. Bisa bayangin gak sih apa yang dialami dan dijalani oleh seorang pasien kanker dan sekaligus juga keluarganya? Karena yang menjalani perjalanan mereka itu bukan hanya seorang pasien, melainkan juga orang-orang di sekitar pasien tersebut. Jadi butuh mental yang sangat kuat banget. Dan ini juga lah yang membuat aku benar-benar mensyukuri apa yang aku punya sekarang, termasuk kesehatanku sendiri. Karena dengan adanya kesehatan, kita baru bisa menikmati perjalanan kita yang lain, termasuk traveling dan perjalanan hidup kita. So, embrace every moment. That's important. Welcome to Jakarta! Guys, aku sudah berada di Ritz-Carlton Pacific Place. Waktunya room tour. Maaf ya kalau agak swapa ya. crazy. Mari kita masuk. Silakan masuk, tuan-tuan dan puan-puan. Ini adalah bathroomnya. Oh my god, ada bathtub. Masuk. Gila, ada bathtubnya. Ada bantal lagi. Mainnya enak banget. Mari kita lihat tempat tidurnya. Wese. This is where the magic happens. Wis. Wah. Ini speechless. Kece badai. Di sini juga ada living roomnya yang mini-mini, ada sofa. Aduh, pokoknya best banget. Ya udah, pokoknya aku istirahat dulu sebentar, and then kita akan akses gymnya, oke? Guys, mumpung lagi kita di hotel mewah, mendingan kita nikmatin secara maksimal semua fasilitasnya. Nge-gym yuk! Guys, aku sudah berada di lokasi acara dari Love Life Fight Cancer the Right Way. So, penasaran dengan isi acara tersebut? Follow me, let's go! Wow guys, otakku ini lagi proses semua informasi yang aku dapat. Jadi acara Ken Hope ini yang Love Life Fight Cancer the Right Way benar-benar informatif dan juga inspiratif. Jadi saya akan kasih informasi mengenai penyebab-penyebab kanker yang mematikan itu ada apa aja sih. Let's go! So guys, menurut dari hasil catatan saya dari seminar tadi, ada 3 kanker yang lumayan mematikan. Yang pertama itu adalah kanker usus ataupun kolorektal yang menyerang di jaringan besar pada usus dan juga area rektum di usus kita, yaitu bagian pangkal sebelum anus. Nah, ini katanya gejala-gejalanya bisa kamu deteksi melalui dari buang air besar kamu. Jadi kebiasaan buang air besar kamu itu kalau ada yang berubah, itu berarti sudah boleh dicurigai. Mulai dari mungkin tanda-tanda bercak merah ataupun ada darah di BAB-nya kamu, ataupun ada rasa kram di area perut ataupun lambung, dan kemudian juga kamu itu memiliki penurunan berat badan yang agak aneh ataupun lumayan drastis tanpa alasan. Jadi ini adalah gejala-gejala yang bisa kamu cek. Kemudian kanker kedua yang aku ketahui ternyata yang jahat banget itu adalah kanker leukemia ataupun darah. Jadi kanker ini menyerang sumsum tulang belakang. Nah, sumsum tulang belakang inilah yang memproduksi seperti sel darah putih, sel darah merah, dan juga trombosit. Nah, ketika terjadi perubahan dari produksi sel-sel darah tersebut, itulah yang menyebabkan sel-sel muda dari leukemia blast ya, kalau tidak salah leukemic blast. Nah, inilah yang menyerang proses dari produksi sel darah itu menjadi tidak normal. Nah, gejala-gejalanya sih lebih umum ya. Biasanya ada gejala-gejala seperti anemia, kurangnya sel darah merah, tapi itu sering terjadi. Kamu sering letih, lesu, kemudian juga ya sering mimisan ataupun pendarahan, dan juga katanya sih ada beberapa gejala yang bisa diketahui seperti ada bercak-bercak merah di kulit kamu karena terjadi pendarahan di bawah lapisan kulit kamu. Nah, itu bisa kamu cek di dokter ataupun cek di lab untuk mengetahui lebih details lagi mengenai kanker leukemia. But next, ini juga adalah kanker yang sering banget ditakuti oleh banyak sekali manusia, terutama wanita, yaitu kanker payudara. Breast cancer ataupun kanker payudara. Tahukah kamu ini adalah penyebab kematian kedua terbesar untuk gender wanita di dunia. Kemudian juga resiko lebih besar lagi untuk wanita etnis Tionghoa. Jadi ini alert banget untuk kita semuanya. Not only that, semakin besar usia kita, semakin besar pula resiko kita untuk terkena kanker payudara. Maka dari itu kita harus cek dulu gejala-gejalanya. Nah, gejala-gejalanya itu seperti apakah ada benjolan yang tidak wajar ataupun tidak sakit di area payudara. Kemudian juga apakah ada gatal ataupun ruam yang sering terjadi di area puting. Dan kemudian apakah ada pendarahan ataupun cairan yang keluar dari area puting. Nah, setelah itu juga ada gejala-gejala lain yang kita state di sini. Nah, guys, ini juga sangat penting sekali. Memang sih faktor pemicu belum bisa diketahui, tapi pendeteksian dini bisa dilakukan melalui pemeriksaan. Mulai dari pemeriksaan di area payudara secara sendiri, apakah ada benjolan atau tidak. Kemudian kedua, untuk usia 40 tahun ke bawah, kita bisa melakukan ultrasound. Untuk usia 40 ke atas, kita bisa melakukan ultrasound dan juga mamogram. Notes, kanker payudara bukan hanya bisa terjadi untuk gender wanita, tapi juga bisa terjadi untuk para pria. Jadi hati-hati. Nah, guys, yang inspiratif, kalau tadi informatif kita udah bicara soal gejala-gejalanya ya. Inspiratifnya adalah pada saat aku mengikuti seminar tadi, ternyata banyak sekali treatments dan juga pengobatan yang sudah sangat-sangat luar biasa selama 30 tahun terakhir di dunia medis. Dan bukan hanya itu saja, kita juga bisa support orang-orang yang kena kanker itu dengan cara memberikan perhatian dan juga dukungan yang lebih lagi. Maka dari itu, saya mendapatkan kesempatan yang luar biasa sekali. Saya bisa ngobrol dengan dua narasumber, nanti sebentar lagi akan kita tanya-tanya mengenai nutrisi. Ini juga penting loh untuk fight cancer the right way. Dan yang kedua itu adalah bagaimana cara kita memberikan moral support dan juga memahami pasien dari kanker tersebut. So, mari sama-sama kita tanya-tanya.
Alright guys, sesuai dengan janji saya tadi, saya diberikan kesempatan untuk interview dua ahli. Dan menurut dari seminar tadi mengatakan bahwa ketika seorang pasien itu terdiagnosa penyakit kanker, yang menjalani perjalanan ini bukan hanya pasiennya, tapi juga keluarganya. Jadi kita ingin tahu kira-kira apa sih yang dialami oleh pasien tersebut itu secara emosional dan juga secara psikologi. Dan sebagai family members ya, bagaimana cara kita untuk mendukung pasien. Dan kemudian nutrisi itu juga penting banget. Nah, dari situlah makanya saya pindah nih, soalnya tadi ribut banget. Jadi saya dapetin kesempatan untuk video conference dengan dua ahli dari Parkway Cancer Center Singapore. Jadi ada satu yaitu Tan Hui Ping, dia adalah senior counselor, dan kemudian untuk nutritionist kita adalah Chloe Ong, yaitu senior dietitian dari Parkway Cancer Center. Mari sama-sama kita tanya. Saya langsung video call sekarang juga ya.
Hello, hi guys.
Hello everyone in Medan, or to anyone who is listening to this video in any parts of Indonesia. My name is Hui Ping.
I'm Chloe, the dietitian.
I'm a senior counselor who works with cancer patients, and I journey with them in terms of their psychological well-being.
I usually give advice to people to teach them how to eat well and eat right.
Alright, I have Miss Hui Ping right now and Miss Chloe. Okay, first questions is for Miss Hui Ping. Miss Hui Ping, when the patient first diagnosed with cancer, what are their coping stages? Maybe can you explain it emotionally? What are their stages?
Yes, Freddie, you are right to say that there are actually some emotional stages that patients will generally experience as they heard about their diagnosis. So right now I'm going to share maybe just 5 stages with the listeners who's watching this video. These 5 stages are universal stages, which not everybody will go through, but it is perfectly fine. And then they are not in any particular sequence or order. Some patients will go through some stages, some patients will go through all the stages, which is also okay. Okay, so stage 1 is actually the stage of denial, the denial of the news that they heard. So for example, many of my patients will share with me that once they heard about their diagnosis, the questions they ask themselves is this real? Does the doctor make a mistake? Has the doctor made a mistake? this can't be happening to me. Okay, so this stage of denial is very strong because the news is very shocking to them. Okay, the second stage that most of the patients will generally experience is the stage of anger, the angry emotions. Because at this point, like what I mentioned earlier, they will have many questions. They will have things like, why is this happening to me? Why is it so unfair? They have all these questions. But unfortunately, many of these questions cannot be answered. So when these questions cannot be answered, there will be a lot of frustrations. So when there's a lot of frustrations, it again propels the anger, the level of anger in them. So the third point is the emotions of anxiety, hopelessness. That's when they start to bargain. Okay, you probably have heard about people asking questions like, can this be happening to me right after my children graduate? Or if only I know about this earlier, if I can seek treatment earlier, how good would it be? So a lot of like bargaining process. This bargaining process is actually kind of like a way to protect themselves. Okay, so they start to kind of like toggle between, you know, buying time, can I have this, and etc. So number 3 already. So the fourth point, or the fourth stage of emotions that they will generally experience is the level of depression. Okay, so when they heard about the diagnosis, of course they will feel very sad, they will feel very depressed, because it's a multiple losses that they experience. Loss of their health, loss of their family, loss of maybe their freedom, loss of control to things happening around them. Okay, so they feel depressed. Now, while depression is kind of like a state of emotion that they experience, what I want to say is that depression, if it prolongs over a period of time, it can be very dangerous. So sadness is okay, sadness is valid. I feel sad, I cry is valid. But if this sadness turns into depression, then it becomes a health concern. Okay, so if patients or you notice somebody who is going through a state of depression whereby they can no longer eat, they affect their sleep patterns, they don't really enjoy the things they are doing, then please seek medical attention. Okay, go and ask for professional help. So that's stage 4. And the last stage that I want to share with all of you is the stage of acceptance. Okay, the stage of acceptance is where there is a sign of relief, there is a sign of calmness and peaceness in accepting their situation. Okay, acceptance is not equal to giving up hope. Okay, it's not giving up treatment. It is really coming to terms with what is within their control and what is beyond your control. So these are the 5 stages that I shared with all of you. So if you do notice yourself experiencing any of these stages, or your loved one experience any of the stages, and it becomes overwhelming for you, please seek professional attention. It is not a sign of weakness, okay? It is really a sign of courage and bravery if you do step up to ask for help.
I see. So, Ms. Hui Ping, as far as we know, the one that is having this cancer journey is not only for the patient, but also for the family members and their beloved ones. Do you have any advices for the family members and their beloved ones in how to support and also take care of the cancer patients?
Yes, Freddie. When we say that a patient has cancer, actually when we say patient has cancer, the whole family has cancer. Why is that so? Because whatever the patient is going through, the family members go through as well. So while patient is going through cancer and a lot of emotional changes in them, the family members can do something to support them. And as a family, they kind of like support one another and go through this journey or grieve together as a whole. So what can family members or friends do if, let's say, their loved ones is diagnosed with cancer? So I'm going to share 3 tips with all of you. Okay, so the first one is be present and listen. So while this is simple in a way because you don't have to do anything, but yes, it's the most difficult thing that anybody can do. Okay, so be present and listen. Number 2 is to respect and support the decision. Because really they are the ones who are going through this treatment. We don't know how their body is taking it. So what we could do is to just support their decision. So, and I think that's also very important. Number 3, the third tip that I'm going to share with you is provide practical assistance. Okay, it can be the day-to-day running of the household chores. It can be doing grocery shopping for them, babysit their children, driving them to the hospital, clinics, etc., help them pay their bills, etc., etc. Okay, because for the patients, these are very useful. Okay, so these are the 3 tips that I wanted to share with all of you.
Okay. Right now I have questions for Miss Chloe. Miss Chloe, we are now talking about nutrition and diet. So what are the roles and the importance of nutrition and diet for cancer patient?
Okay, regarding to the question that you asked, I would definitely say that nutrition and diet is very important during the cancer treatment. Many times when patients come to see us, they have already lost a lot of weight. The reason why they lose weight is not because of the cancer treatment or because of the cancer progress, but because the patients thought that after being diagnosed with cancer, they can only eat plain porridge or maybe just boiled vegetables, which eventually they cannot eat this kind of food every day and they lose their appetite. Some of them can easily lose up to 10-15 kg in 1-2 months time, which is not good because their body becomes too weak and they cannot continue with the treatment. So I would say that after being diagnosed with cancer, we still try to eat as normal as possible. You still can enjoy sometimes some unhealthy food like maybe nasi goreng if you like, ayam penyet. Although they are not so healthy, but at least they give you the energy and the protein that you need, rather than you are not eating anything. Definitely, if let's say you can eat healthier, I would definitely suggest, if let's say you can eat healthier, you eat maybe more vegetables, more fruits, and more fresh food as possible. So lean meat also is good, and we try to increase the protein intake. However, if let's say you really have totally no appetite to eat at all, I would say that don't focus too much on the healthy eating, but eat whatever you can to give you the energy and to sustain your body for the cancer treatment. Provided that the food that you are eating, there is no contraindication with the medicine that you are taking or causing any side effects that you do not want. Otherwise, I would say that everything is okay, it's alright to eat.
So are there any food and beverages that should be avoided by cancer patients?
Okay, so although just now I mentioned that every food is alright to eat, right? But for cancer patients who are undergoing cancer treatments, usually the immunity will be lower. So food safety actually is very important to avoid any foodborne illnesses. So we will try to avoid taking raw food. So everything must be well cooked. No sashimi, no medium well steak. And if let's say you are eating sunny side up or eggs, make sure that the egg yolk is fully cooked as well. No raw vegetables, no salad, no, like for example nasi ulam, the raw vegetables. Try to avoid all those. And for fruits, no pre-cut fruits. Every fruits must wash well, and try to avoid also freshly squeezed juices from outside. If you want to drink, buy bottled or canned drinks. They are safer to drink. Other than that, for food safety, we also want to take care of the food temperature. That means well-cooked food, within 2 hours, we try to consume them when they are still hot or warm. Otherwise, the bacteria also can grow. So this is for food safety. Other than that, in general, for cancer patients or for everyone else, we try to also avoid taking processed meat as possible. So for example, sausages, hot dog, ham, salami, and so on. So in conclusion, I would say that we try to eat fresh food as possible, and I strongly encourage to avoid processed meat if possible. Try to consume a well-balanced, nutritious meals during your cancer treatment.
I see. So, from what I heard about food and beverages that need to be avoided, I heard that for breast cancer patients, that they should avoid food and drinks that contain soya. Is it true? Can you clarify that?
Freddy, I think this is a very good question. Many of the breast cancer patients, they will ask whether soya beans or soya beans products can or cannot take. And this is more pertaining to estrogen positive breast cancer patients. The reason why they're asking so is because soya beans actually contains phytoestrogens, which is similar to our body hormone estrogen. And my answer will be no, you don't have to totally avoid soya beans or the products. If let's say before your diagnosis, you have been already taking some of the soya beans or the products, say for example bean curd, tofu or tempeh or soya bean milk, it's actually very safe to still continue with the similar amount and the frequency that previously you have been taking. There is many studies already shown that there is no adverse reaction with the phytoestrogen and hormone treatment. Another thing I would like to add on for breast cancer patients is actually weight management. Breast cancer patients are very prone to weight gain during the treatment because of the hormone. So I would say that if let's say you can control your diet, try to eat as healthy as possible, include all the nutritious food, more fruits, more vegetables, and reduce the fat, reduce sugar intake. I think that will be good for the weight management, and if it's possible, try to increase your physical activities for weight management.
Alright, thank you so much for the information. These are very useful. Thank you for Miss Hui Ping. Thank you for Miss Chloe.
Thank you, Freddy, for the interview, and thanks everyone for watching.
Okay, thank you everyone for listening to my video, and I hope that whatever I have shared has been of use to you.
Have a nice day, and hopefully we have a chance to see each other. Bye. Ya guys, akhirnya kita sudah masuk ke dalam akhir vlog ini. Semoga kamu bisa mendapatkan informasi yang lebih bermanfaat lagi mengenai kanker. Sebenarnya it's so simple to combat the cancers. Ada 3. Yang pertama adalah prevention seperti vaksin. Kedua, early detection. Nah, kamu harus rutin cek badan kamu supaya kamu yang bisa mengetahui awal-awal gejala dari kanker. Dan yang ketiga itu adalah treatments. Ini adalah untuk pendeteksian ketika di stage awal kanker ataupun pada saat kamu sudah terkena kanker. Nah, kemudian setelah terdeteksi, cari medical treatments yang tepat, cari dokter yang skillnya tepat, dan kemudian have faith. Dan setelah itu support system yang bagus, kamu bisa melawan kanker tersebut. Nah, finally, pesan terakhir saya. Pertama, love your family. Kedua, love yourself. And ketiga, love life. So guys, subscribe and like video ini, and don't forget, fight cancer!
Untuk informasi lebih lanjut, hubungi Gen Hope Medan